Magnificat, Magnificat anima mea, cantate, cantate Domino, gloria, jubilate, jubilate semper. Magnificat, Magnificat anima mea, cantate, cantate Domino, gloria, jubilate, jubilate Magnificat, 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 Magnificat,
My name is Anna Topping. I'm married to Ryan. We have 10 children, 9 of them are boys. We have 1 girl, and we live in Alberta, Canada.
My name is Ryan Topping. I'm a university professor. I teach at a place called Newman Theological College. It's in Edmonton.
I came from a family of 2 children. I'm the oldest, and Ryan came from a family, he grew up with 5 other siblings.
I met my wife, Anna, at that Mennonite University. It was a wonderful place to meet, really. One of these evenings, if I recall, there was a dance or two where no one danced with Anna. So I told her after that, well, perhaps next week you should be my partner. And that's I think how things got going. We spent a lot of time walking. We were teaching a course together, and so that made us have to sit once a week in the evening going over the Bible as we prepared for Sunday. After a few months of doing this, we became more interested in each other. And one day, I did tell her, we were going for a long walk, I said, I think you're the type of woman that has qualities I would like in a wife. I think we shouldn't talk about this. So eventually we had the Christmas holidays come, and we went our ways, and we decided we're not going to talk about this until we return. We both prayed a lot, and we had a special time of fasting, and it was really wonderful. And then we came back together after Christmas, and we decided, yes, we should move on.
So we got engaged in March, and by August we were married. God definitely draws you to the person that you're supposed to marry, and certainly Ryan was the only perfect one for me. In one of our conversations about wanting to get married and thinking about our future together, then we discussed how many children we'd like to have. And I said, well, probably 2, because that's what I knew. And Ryan said he'd like 14. And so when we went to visit his family, then his siblings were at home, and he has a bunch of younger siblings. And I was instantly won over to the idea of having a larger family, seeing them all together and realizing it's like having a party all the time.
So my wife had a real conversion of heart there, I think, seeing my family and my siblings who embraced her warmly, and she embraced them warmly back.
So we did get married, and in our wedding ceremony, then he did manage to sneak in and say 14 right at the appropriate time. And although we have 10 living children, we did have 4 miscarriages. And so I think we've hit 14 now, so we'll see if God has any more for us. When we were considering becoming Catholic, one of the things that we were most concerned about was the fact that we didn't know how we would raise our children to be Christian. Our experiences with the Catholic world were fairly intellectual, but we didn't have really many personal relationships with people who are Catholic.
So as my wife and I were moving towards marriage, one of the questions that came up is contraception. At this point, we were still Protestant. I was training to be a Protestant pastor. My wife was finishing her education degree and starting to teach. And it was actually through studying the question that we encountered some Catholics who had big families. And we kept encountering these families who had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and more children. It's not like you love children any less just because you have 2 of them. Your love continues to increase. God opens up our heart. It makes it capacious.
We were living in England at the time, and we had a trip to Rome booked. And the day before we flew out, Pope John Paul II died. And so as we flew into Rome, so did several other million people for his funeral. And we came to realize that the church was for young people. It was filled with vibrant, young, faith-filled people, and that it was a place that we could raise our children.
Now, somehow, our thick heads needed the testimony of 3 million other Catholics to make us believe in our hearts that, yes, you could raise a Catholic family. After that experience being in Rome and in the sea of these other young people who were all alive in their faith, it was like we were finally defeated. And so God took that little bit of faith that we had, and he blessed us many times over with all the good fruits that come from being a Catholic.
The Catholic Church, it's like being at a rich banquet. And before you were having, you're maybe having dry toast, and now all of a sudden you're at a sumptuous banquet. And so it was hard for them, but I think they've been very supportive. And my parents were able to be at all of the baptisms of our children. And for them, it was hard at first because we started having children and we were having them fairly close together, which worked out really well for us. But for them, it seemed daunting and they weren't familiar with that. My mom, she said, I've really come to appreciate your large family, and I really think it is good for people to have larger families.
It's been wonderful to see how our family members have been won over to the idea of having a big family.
Peter is our oldest, and he's a real spiritual leader for the family. And right from a very young age, he had a strong piety. And he was also a real prayer warrior. And for a while, he was praying specifically for the intention of women who were pregnant and for unborn babies. And he took on a lot of women who were having complicated pregnancies. And I think he only lost one baby out of all of those ones that he was praying for. And so that was a real gift that he was giving to people. And now he's considering going to seminary, and we're really excited for him as he discerns God's will for him. And we're really thankful that God put him as the oldest, because all the other boys look up to him and they see what he's doing, and so they also have spent time pretending to be priests and to pray the rosary with Peter, and now I think they would certainly consider trying out seminary before they would to discern their vocation as well.
Joseph, he's a strong young man. He's very musical.
He is athletic. He has a great sense of humor. Loves to make things with his hands.
Yes, Joseph is good at making things. Recently, he made a ship that was quite beautiful, and he has a good way with young kids.
And Thomas is our leader. Him and Francis, the next oldest, they put together a camp for these boys last summer. And so they spent probably at least a month preparing for it. It was a 2-day camp. He has a really strong heart for wanting to share manliness and virtue with other younger children.
Francis, our next child, he's a lot of fun. He talks a lot.
Well, whenever we go to a social function, and if an older woman comes up to me afterwards and says, I was talking to one of your sons, and he's just such a lovely man. You have such great children. I think, oh yes, it was Francis.
Yeah.
He butters up all the older ladies. Dominic is a great actor and loves to dramatize every feeling that he might be having, and so he has many personifications and he enjoys the finer things of life.
Gregory is our worker, and he will do things like make brunch for us. Now that's no small feat, making brunch for 12 people on Sunday morning. He'll get up early, he has everything prepared, he executes it well, and we all feast like kings and queens.
John Paul is our calm, phlegmatic, so that means we are still learning to understand him, and he's very good with little children.
Catherine. Catherine is the princess. Catherine is attentive. She's got these senses, and it's just I feel so privileged, really, to have a daughter in our house.
Ambrose, he's a man's man. He just loves to be with people, and he will chat up with anybody, and he started talking quite early too, so he gave a lot of interesting thoughts to a lot of people. And he loves to wrestle, and so yeah, he's quite a funny guy.
Philip is our best. Philip is good at conducting. So whenever we sing in the house, he'll often start raising his arms. It's quite funny.
That was so cute. Being a mother of 10 kids, my heart is just full and of gratitude to God that He would give me all of these children, and I'm so thankful for them. And our lives are very joyful. They are very joyfully big. Obviously, it's because I have a supportive husband and we have a good community around us. But I would say my main thought when I think of the fact that I could have 10 children is just gratitude. Going out with all the children, and especially when they were younger, because they were all quite close together. And so I would take them all grocery shopping with me. And I came to see that as a bit of my witness to the world, and that it was a bit of my service to take them grocery shopping with me. And of course, people would say, "Oh, are these all your children?" And I said, "Well, usually I don't dress up my neighborhood kids all alike and take them out with me."
One time in a grocery line where a young man, he said to my wife, "Well, are these all your children?" "Yes, they are. But you look like an intelligent woman." To which my wife replied, "Well, that's because intelligent women have children."
And I think what it did is it stirred up in some people this feeling of, oh, there's something beautiful here, and look at all of this joy that this woman has.
The best quality that my wife has is that she was foolish enough to marry me. Somehow that worked, and I'm terribly grateful for it. My wife is a master home builder. She's very thorough and she's very thoughtful when it comes to organizing the household and the children, and in making a haven, really, that we can all come back to. My wife and I both enjoy intensely reading together. This is a habit that we've had for all of our marriage, and so I love being able to have conversations with her about books. I never stop being grateful to be around her.
Ryan's the perfect husband for me. He's a wonderful father, and he has lots and lots of energy, and he's a wonderful mixture of physicality and intellectual pursuits. And so he loves playing sports with the kids. He's not afraid to answer difficult questions, and children have lots of questions, and I'm very thankful that Ryan has wrestled with them himself and is open to having long discussions with the kids. As a father, he really helps them grow in their faith. That way, he's also a deeply spiritual man himself. He helps our family stay on track with those things.
I can't imagine not having the family that we have, and I'm so grateful. We're Canadian, but for a time we were living on the East Coast near Boston. I was teaching at a lovely little Catholic college called Thomas More. Well, as happens when you move across borders, we had visa troubles, and eventually we found ourselves in the situation where we were illegal refugees in the country. This was one of the more difficult times in our marriage. We prayed a lot, and we had to resign ourselves to the fact that whatever would come, even if it meant death, God would still be with us. That was a great consolation, and things did eventually work out.
We had our 8th child, and she was a girl, and it was all very exciting. And then we had 6 weeks nonstop of overnight guests following her birth. And I was very excited to be cleaning up the house and on my feet again after being pregnant. And then I slipped on a boot at the bottom of the stairs and twisted my ankle so badly that I couldn't walk. I couldn't even put any weight on the foot for 5 weeks. And so I was stuck on the couch with this brand new baby. And so we've got all these little boys, and they had to try to make meals for us. They valiantly stepped up to the plate and tried to take care of those kind of things while I sat and took care of the baby on the couch. So that was a bit of a trial because it was for 5 weeks and Ryan was very busy with work. And one day he called and he said, you need to sit down. I said, I've been sitting for 5 weeks. And he says, I've just got asked to apply for a job in Canada. Are you ready to move back to Canada? We did pray about it, and it did seem that it was the thing that we needed to do for our family. Then we came to our new house, and my mom came to help us. And while she was here helping us move in, my dad died. This was a significant new trial for us because we had just left all that we knew out there, and we had come back for family, and now part of our family had just been taken from us. And so this is an opportunity to throw yourself upon God's mercy and to try to understand why His ways are the way they are.
A couple of years ago, I had some minor heart problems. It did cause me to consider, oh boy, I might be dying a lot sooner than I was expecting. And I was feeling afraid of death. I realized that I was afraid of abandoning my children to an early death. Through that experience, I came to realize that I have to hold the fatherhood that I have with very open hands, because anything good that we can do is only an image or an echo or a participation in the fatherhood of God. So it's God the Father who's ultimately taking care of our family. God gives us circumstances quite often to help beat away my pride and to help me realize and remember that God is the one in His providence who governs all things. If we can, as a family, in some way serve Him, that's good, but it's going to be in His timing and in His ways. One of the practices that we have a night day system. So we start with the eldest, Peter, and then we move all the way down. And each day, one of them has certain responsibilities or privileges. And one of the privileges is that I get to go for a little walk with them. I find it very difficult as a father because our eldest is 17 and our youngest is 1. Everyone has different needs. And sometimes sleep doesn't go well at night, so we're a little bit tired. And then on the other end, these older teenagers, they want to talk until late in the hour. So I don't know how to fix that yet, but we're relying on the Lord to help us find enough time to do the right things. There's also a conference here in Alberta called the Western Canadian Catholic Homeschool Conference. It inspired us to see all these other families that are creating these little islands of holiness. The way to thrive as a Christian now is going to be to build these little islands of holiness. And I think living a liturgical life is one way that you can do that.
The family unit is such a beautiful thing, and to be able to homeschool just means that you can develop that family unit, and so your closest friends are your siblings, and the person that cares the most about you is your teacher. Your parents are the ones who care the most about you, and teachers do care about their students very much, but they just never could care and know their students as well as a parent. Homeschooling doesn't actually require that much teaching, I would say. Mm-hmm. It requires more, it's more learning how to learn. So you are spending time with your children and helping them learn how to learn and living the life with them. We also have a large community, and so they have ample opportunity to spend time and learn how to deal with other friends as well. It definitely means that everything good that you want to give to your children, you have a much greater chance of being able to give it to them because they're here with you.
When you're the mom and dad, you're the king and the queen, and you're responsible for how to form those kids. The church tells us that parents, you're the ones that are in charge, and we work alongside, but the parents have to be the engine. We have a weird society that makes you think that working for someone else for money is always more important than working for yourself and your own children to raise a household. Mm-hmm. Like, think of the privilege and the honor of being the one who is CEO of the most important society that you'll have contact with, namely your family. Mm-hmm.
Ave Domina angelorum, salve radix, salve
it's very important to live out the church's year throughout it with the home, because it's helping build a Catholic culture at home, and because we want the air that the children breathe to be Catholic, and that they can understand that their whole life is a prayer. Our boys are altar servers. They're very blessed to be able to serve at the altar, and they take that role seriously and love it.
My wife and I, we pray in the morning together, and then at the table we spend time praying with the kids, and we tend to have a routine. So they have certain prayers, and we sing a hymn, and someone reads the life of the saint, and we usually try to memorize. And then there's always the Angelus at noon. It's good to sing that. At nighttime, then we have evening prayers at Vespers, and that's after supper. There's cleanup. We'll sometimes pray what's called Compline, which is night prayer. So it's very short. It's essentially a psalm. The angel of the Lord declared unto Mary. These very simple psalm tones that kids can learn, and they love it.
We have an hour and a half quiet time in the middle of the day. Our kids are homeschooled, and so that's the one time when we get a break from each other, is when we have their quiet time. And so everyone has their individual spot. And then we also ask them to go to bed rather early, so they have to remove themselves from the common space so that we have time together as a couple. And that's another opportunity for them to develop their own prayer time. In our house, most days include blood. And so instead of saying, "Oh, are you bleeding?" we say, "Clean up your blood."
Did we ever have conflict in our marriage?
Definitely, we've had lots of great arguments in our marriage, but after we had had an argument and we had made up, then he'd say, "Okay, so how could we have done that better?" and talk through for rules of engagement. And so we had come up with a fair number of strategies for, okay, if we're having this kind of argument, then these are the boundaries, and you're not going to be able to step outside of those boundaries. So you're definitely allowed to disagree. You're allowed to have an argument, but if there's a disagreement, then you disagree with a person and you get it out and done with right there. But then it's done and you let it go.
I think I'm learning to say sorry to the kids now and again.
Hard for a caller.
I don't like to do that often, but you should do it sometimes. My main job is to help her get to heaven. I think I'm doing a really good job. She's.
I thought your main job was getting you to heaven.
Oh yeah.
Oh, actually, that's God's job.
That's God's job. Okay, yeah. But you know, I can be her cross.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'm doing a good job of being your cross as well. Having a lot of children is a great evangelization tool. It's you're out there. People see your family and they can see the happiness that comes there.
When you embark on a family, you are raising up the next generation. You are walking a path to holiness. You are bringing peace and stability and prosperity to your community. There's really no other single great deed that a man and a woman can engage in. All the powers that we have are meant for the kingdom of God, and marriage is the main path that most of us are called to walk on to get to glory.
Are you searching for purpose of life? Discover your true identity. Stay tuned to Shalom World.